Jaden, I feel like we're about to draw a very bright line between nerds and people who are rolling their eyes. So, folks, let's figure out which camp you're in real fast here. But the news, like last week, is something that people were talking breathlessly about, which is this OpenAI model, which essentially sort of like solved an 80-year-old math problem, right? And even right there, you're like, what math problem has been around for 80 years? But it's apparently like it disproves the Erdos. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Like unit distance conjecture after 80 years.
It's
Jaden,
cool. Okay.
my eyelids start to droop when I hear this. I'll be honest. But Jaden, guys, before we came on, Jaden's like, man, we got to talk about this math problem. I'm like, come on. He's like, no, I'll make it interesting. So Jaden, okay, here you are. Spotlight on you. Hope it's not too hot. What do you got?
Okay, this is so cool. Essentially, like you said, OpenAI solved an 80-year-old math problem. How it did it is what was really exciting to me, because I think a lot of times when we think about AI and how it's like, oh, it's going to do like drug discovery and like it's going to invent all of these new theories and like all these new ideas. And I think we're still waiting for that quote unquote future to materialize in a lot of ways. But what it is really good at today, and I think whether AI gets smart enough to, I mean, like, sure, we'll get there in the future where it can come with great new ideas. But today, what it can do, it can still solve really old problems with current information. So in this case, it didn't invent any sort of new theory. It basically just connected a whole bunch of old ideas that a lot of mathematicians have been talking about, but they were unable to basically connect the dots and solve this big math problem. And this has been for decades, right? I think this is from 1946 that this problem originally is. So, right. So we're World War II this problem has not been solved. Like you mentioned, it's from Paul Erdos. So basically, this is in a simple term. I'm not a big mathematician, but in a simple term, the problem is basically if you take a bunch of points on a flat plane and then you ask how many pairs can be exactly 1 unit apart. That's basically the math problem. It sounds simple, but like I said, since World War II, no one's been able to really figure this out. Erdos had a theory on it, which now has been disproven by OpenAI, but his theory was that the answer grew only a tiny bit faster than the number of points. OpenAI went and used their model. And what's cool with OpenAI, Anthropic can also do stuff like this, although it just depends where they point the firepower at. But they basically can give it like massive compute budgets. And so I don't know how much money they spent on solving this problem in particular. I'm sure for the PR, it's worth spending like $1 million on something like this in compute, right? But you really can make these things smarter by just giving them more compute. But anyways, what OpenAI ended up doing was they used a grid with spacing 1 over root 65, because 1 squared plus 8 squared equals 65. Guys, I'm just going to give you the
Jaden, you're really killing me. We're losing audience members so fast.
If you're rolling your eyes, it's only going to take 1 second, okay? 4 squared plus 7 squared equals 65. So that lets interior points connect to 16 exact unit distance neighbors. Okay, doesn't matter if you understood what I just said there. What is so exciting to me is that this, we got to this, like all of these people being like, oh my gosh, like AI is so much smarter than mathematicians. Like AI is so much smarter than physicians and all of these like things, right? AI isn't smarter than all of these people. In reality, AI is just really good at brute forcing weird combinations against like graph theory, number theory, geometry. It's going to do like, it just can brute force things in a way that no human has bothered to try, a trillion variations of something. It can just go and brute force them and figure them out. Now, what's cool is you could say, oh my gosh, quote unquote, OpenAI's model discovered this. No, OpenAI's model didn't discover this. There was a scientist, a mathematician behind this that was like, here's a problem that hasn't been solved, pointing it at there, talking with it, directing it, working with it. So who solved the problem? Was it the mathematician using OpenAI? Can you credit with OpenAI for PR? It sounds great to OpenAI. But do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's using methods that we've been working for a long time. It just brute forced it. And by the way, it brute forced it with a mathematician directing it. So anyways, I'm excited because there's so much knowledge out there that we can now just point these AI models towards problems, but using knowledge that we already have. It doesn't have to invent new theories, and it can solve really cool stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm with you, even though I was like literally nodding off about halfway through what you were saying there. But here's the thing, like, so, and I was actually like looking up, like, what was this problem? So I can sort of like talk to us, in terms of like 5th grade knowledge, if anybody's interested in that. But like, I think, Jaden, to your point where you left off, the mathematicians solving this. So, one of the things that that we do out in the world with companies like at scale, and I was about to say who I just got back from, but it was a very cool old company. But the idea is and I'm not going to, I don't even believe in this sort of like, you're not going to be, AI is not going to replace you, but somebody using AI is going to replace. I'm not even sure I really believe in that. I think I actually believe more that, that systems within companies like will either allow people to thrive or it won't. You know what I mean? But maybe
Mhm.
Jaden sort of like do a whole separate episode on that because I feel sort of like pretty strongly about that. Whether I'm right or wrong, I'm not sure. But the idea is that if you are going up against a marketer, right? So like, Jaden Schaefer's a classic marketer, right? This is how he grew up. His dad knew how to do this, like, and he learned from the time he was like 15. So Jaden is a great marketer, right? So if you sort of like put me and Jaden against each other and said, hey, each of you has OpenAI and you have 20 minutes, create this new shoe brand or something like that. The thing that I create in a vacuum is going to look incredible to me, right? I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, look at this thing. But the thing that Jaden creates is going to be actually incredibly valuable in a much different way because he knows what good marketing looks like. He can discern. Now he has like a team that he's like ordering around in the same way that we say anybody can be a director right now. It's like, well, not really. Like I'd rather put, $100 million around Martin Scorsese than around me because he understands like what good looks like. He can discern all that sort of stuff. And all this math problem if I'm understanding Jaden right, is it's not that AI is just doing this on its own. It has to have somebody guiding it. Like if you just said to me, like, hey, you have the exact same system, go solve this math problem, I would have no idea how to do it because I don't know what's right and what's wrong. So when we're thinking about, how this is going to impact your job and how this actually impacts your life, all AI does is augment you. Right. I mean, all it does, like you have to have the discernment, which means that if you can use AI to really magnify what you do and also fill in the gaps of what you're not good in, also have a team around you that's at least doing some first drafts of product marketing and just like a lot of different things, you are going to be absolutely unstoppable. So just to sort of say that, but also just because I think it's interesting, Jaden, on this exact thing, I was just like sort of like looking up what this is, right? So this is how AI was explaining it to me. Picture a kid's dot to dot puzzle. Iridos's question was, if you can place the dots anywhere, what's the trick to getting the most lines of exactly the same length between them? And what AI started to do was like, well, what if we just think about this differently? Like, what if we make a 3-dimensional grid and then press it down to a 2-dimensional grid? Just things that wouldn't occur to maybe the average mathematician. But then once the mathematician sees the answer or sees one way of doing it, they're going to be like, yes, this is what we mean when we say it's not
Mhm.
just about AI taking jobs. It's about, can it expand your thinking in radical new ways? That's what I think is exciting about that.
Okay, and I have an epiphany while you were talking, which
Ooh.
is perhaps, yeah, maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. I think it's probably right, and I don't necessarily think it makes a lot of people happy, but I think it's probably true. And that is that with what we can do with AI, like guys, I'm not a mathematician, but I'm so excited about what it was just able to accomplish there.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. AI can do so much more. And because of that, I think we are going to be required to do so much more. I think there's often this like pitch sold to a lot of people that AI is going to be able to quote unquote do everything. And we're going to need universal basic income. And everyone is just going to have, as Elon likes to say, which is one of the things I disagree with him, which is like universal basic abundance or something
Oh
like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
where
yeah.
basically everyone's going to be rich because the robots and the AI is going to do everything. I don't think that's going to be the case. What I think AI is going to do, which is the reality of what we're seeing right now, it can do so much more. But guess what it's doing? It is pressing all of us to do so much more. The joke with all software engineers is like, before AI, I used to spend 12 hours a day coding, and now I spend 18 hours a day working with Claude Code coding. I'm not working
Mhm.
less, I'm working more. Maybe I get
Right.
10 times the output, but I'm working more. I think that's basically where everyone is getting pushed right now in every industry. No one likes to hear that, but we have layoffs going on. People are working more. They're able to do more. And even if they're not working in, maybe you do your regular work hours and then you come home and you can work on your own projects. Now, I know a lot of people don't like the sound of this. I think because we're having so many more capabilities from AI, we will create more. We will do more. We're going to make discoveries. And so, like, in a way, sitting in a job and just coasting for the rest of your life is less of a viable career path, in my opinion, than it was 10 or 20 years ago, even. And I'm not saying that in a good way, because I have lots of friends that work in very cushy corporate jobs and they love
Mhm.
them. And now they're getting pushed a little bit. And some of them are getting pushed a lot. And I'm hearing that, right, from people that work at like Amazon, and they're high up at Amazon. They're like, I'm worried for my job, so I'm really pushing. So I developed this entire new, basically, software inside of Amazon. Now they're touring it around, showing it to everyone. And they're like, and this is how I'm trying to assure that my job doesn't get lost. Okay, whether that's good or bad and the psychology of all that, I think just pushing that aside, the outcome I think that we will see in America and the world is that productivity is going to go up. Discoveries are going to go up. So much progress is going to happen. We're going to still have to do a lot more work than we're used to. But I think that we will reap the rewards. We'll get the benefits from this in the long run, just like when a dishwasher was invented and I don't have to manually wash dishes anymore. Put that in every single industry and every single vertical. Our quality of life will improve globally, but we're feeling the pain now because we really do have to work harder to push with what the AI is capable of. All right,
Yeah.
Connor.
No, I'm with you, but I also want to sort of like, the way that you're talking about it is from somebody who's getting joy out of it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
and that's sort of like part of the difference, right? Because, and by the way, I think if people are kind of like opting into listening to our dumb little podcast here, like I think we have a lot of people on board. So what I want to sort of like address is how do you get other people feeling that? And when we just sort of like say, because Jaden's like enthusiasm, I think is infectious, and I think that people listening to the podcast feel that too, because they're feeling like doing more is no longer a burden. It's exciting. Like I never, like I was up so late working with Claude Design because like with my guy Robert, we're building this whole new platform, all that sort of stuff. Like I'm building it. Like what? Like with him. Like it doesn't make any sense that I could do that. I had it run. I literally had to leave my laptop open because I had to go to bed and like leave it running all night with code. And it's crazy because I was just falling asleep.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy thing is that most people, when you're feeling this, and I'm guessing a lot of you guys do, which is like, yeah, no, I can't stop. But how do you elevate everybody else? Right? Like, and that's the problem, because it's not just about whether you are good at AI. It's can you elevate your team? That's what stands out at companies,
100%.
at least the companies that I work with. They want people to elevate the people around them, not just like have a one-off good thing. And the second thing is people have to find their magic moment. It's just that it's like use cases don't tend to translate. Like the thing that gets Jaden super excited won't get anybody else excited. Same with me. I had a CEO of a big software company. I might have mentioned this before, up in Boston. And he spent like opening up for me, essentially. And this is a company you'd know. And he spent the first like 15 minutes talking about like how this thing helped him plant blueberry bushes outside Boston. And he's like, I could never do it before. And now my family is this and blah, blah, blah. It was always like a big thing for me. I never knew how to garden, but my wife did and blah, blah, blah. And at the end, everybody's like, what are you talking about? But it was like that moment of enthusiasm. Once people find that moment, they're off and running. But that's the tricky thing. So I love your enthusiasm. I feel the same enthusiasm. But guys, remember, we have to bring that to other people by helping them find their moment, because then it doesn't, I don't know. I don't want to say this, but it almost doesn't feel like work anymore.
100%. I know it sounds so cheesy and so bad, but really, this is an opportunity for all of us to really succeed and thrive. And if you're listening to the podcast, you know that. But I think you bring up a really good point. We're at a moment where we have the one-man team, the one-man show, and it's really exciting, and you are that person. But if you really want to be able to scale your ideas and your vision, like the capabilities scale. So bring the whole team on board and help everyone scale along with you. I think it's phenomenal. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into the podcast today. This has been a lot of fun. Thanks for listening to the epiphanies, the madness that is happening over here, and all of the math. If you guys haven't left a review already on the podcast, it would help us out tremendously. Guys, we have 173 reviews on Apple. We are so close to 200 reviews. This is our deepest goal in life. We're just trying to get to 200 reviews. If you haven't left a review on Apple, oh my gosh, this would make our life so much better, and we'd be thrilled. This is just a big milestone. It's almost America's 250th anniversary. If we could get to 250 reviews by 4th of July, that would be incredible. All right, guys, thanks so much, and hope you guys all have a good rest of your day.